எங்க சாரு ஓ
The unveiling of a journal. It is a celebration, a tribute to the pursuit of legal scholarship, and a reaffirmation of the Department of Law's and unwavering commitment of our legal community milestone in our journey to amplify student-led legal, stimulate constructive dialogue on critical legal with the lighting of the traditional oil lamp, an enduring symbol of the pursuit of knowledge. The traditional oil lamp representing the dispelling of ignorance, and Honorable Justice Sivakumar, Lenin Kumar, Mrs. Kozalai Madan, Head Department of Law, University of Jaffna. Mr. Prabharan, Member of Council. It is a great honor that we invite Ms. Sadhuni Gunawardana, Program Manager, External Affairs, to deliver.
My colleagues, High Court judges, Honorable District judges, Honorable Magistrates, the lady, PST, whom normally she comes before me, Swashia, editors, Head of the Department of Law, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege and honor to join you today for the launch of the 10th volume of Neetam. I extend my sincere congratulations to the Faculty of Arts, the Department of Law, the editorial board, and all those who have contributed to sustaining this important publication. Reaching 10th volume is a remarkable achievement and reflects years of dedication to legal scholarship and intellectual discourse. A law journal is much more than a collection of academic articles. It is a forum where ideas are tested, legal principles are challenged, and new perspectives emerge. It reminds me that law is not static. It evolves alongside society, responding to changing values, emerging challenges, and the aspiration of the people, its style. Through thoughtful research and informed debate, that evolution is guided in a principled and meaningful manner. During my years on the bench, I came to appreciate that some of the most significant developments in the law have been inspired by scholarly writing. Judicial decisions are enriched by academic analysis, while legal scholarship itself benefits from practical judicial experience. The relationship between academia and the judiciary strengthens the administration of justice and promotes the progressive development of the law. During my tenure as a civil appellate court judge in Jaffna and Vaunia, Northern Province, I heard numerous cases involving parties governed by Tesavarmai law. In many of those cases, women came before the court expressing deep sense of injustice, alleging discrimination under the personal law that governed them. These cases remind me that personal laws are not merely subject for academic debate. They affect the dignity, rights, and daily lives of real people. Particular concern arises regarding the personal law applicable to women upon marriage and the administration of theatre, property acquired during marriage. These issues raise important questions of equality, autonomy, and fairness. As students of law, I encourage you to continue examining these questions critically and to develop thoughtful and well-reasoned proposals that advance justice and protect individual rights. The students who wrote on Tesavarmai understood something that every good lawyer eventually learns: the law is most alive where it meets the relatives of a particular people. The same instinct that takes us how the law governs the land of the northern people should also ask how the law governs the waters that surround it. Step outside this hall, look northwards. The Park Bay and the Gulf of Mannar remain among the most legally complex and humanly painful regions in our country. The issue surrounding illegal fishing, environmental degradation, and the livelihoods of the fishing communities present difficult challenges for lawyers, judges, policymakers, and scholars alike. The legal framework is largely in place. Our laws prohibit unauthorized foreign fishing and restrictive fishing practices, and international agreement established in maritime boundaries between our two countries. Yet, in real challenge lies on the effective implementation of these laws and in ensuring meaningful protection for the communities whose lives depend on these waters. I do not claim to have resolved these issues on the bench. Instead, I leave to you with 5 questions that I hope future volumes of Neetam will explore. First, what is the legal status of statutory penalty that exists in law but is not constantly enforced in practice? Number 2, what mechanism do jurisdictions worldwide employ to address concerns similar to those in the northern fishermen issue? Third, what does the guarantee of equality under Article 12 of the Constitution mean in the northern fisherman who sees the law applied unequally in his own waters? Fourth, how do the principle of United Nations conservation of the law of the sea translate into effective remedies when the harm of environmental and the sector is a neighboring state? And finally, fifth, can we develop a restrictive model drawing on our public trust doctrine to compromise fishing communities for the damage already caused to the seabed and their livelihoods. These are not abstract questions. They concern real communities, real livelihoods, a real question of justice. They are precisely the kinds of issues that universities and law journals such as Neetham should continue to examine. Before drawing any conclusion, I would like to bring to your attention to the Supreme Court's recent interpretation of Section 14, 15 and 16 of the Judicature Act. Regarding appeal procedures, Section 14 grants the right of appeal in criminal cases originating from the High Court, while earlier decisions acknowledged that an accused person could be considered an aggrieved party. The court has now clarified that this is not the case. Additionally, the court has determined that the leave to appeal is exclusively reserved for the Attorney General and not to the accused, who cannot seek leave to appeal. In addition, when Provincial High Court established under 13th Amendment exercised appellate jurisdiction pursuant to Act number 1990 as amended, the Court of Appeal has no authority to intervene. Specifically, it lacks jurisdiction to entertain final appeal, to proceed by of revision, or to invoke restrictive intergram. As students and future practitioners, I encourage you to keep abreast of the latest judgments of our superior courts. The law is constantly evolving, and a good lawyer is one who never stops learning. As we celebrate the 10th volume of Neetham, let us also celebrate the values of represents intellectual integrity, rigorous legal analysis, and the commitment now to justice. I congratulate everyone who has contributed to this publication and wish Neetham continue to success in the years ahead. May continue to inspire legal scholarship, encourage meaningful dialogue, and contribute to the advancement of the justice in Sri Lanka. Thank you.
மேலதிக செய்திகளுக்காக எமது யூடியூப் தளத்தை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள்.